a teacher with a classroom full of misbehavior students. There are several different techniques that you can use to help the misbehavior, but today we're going to talk about response cost lottery. Response cost lottery is used in situations where 3 or 4 students in the class have challenging behaviors. So an example of this would be giving tickets at the beginning of the week. When students misbehave, they lose the tickets. At the end of the week, students write their names on their remaining tickets to put into a drawing for a prize. The prizes could include stickers, stamps, pencils, erasers, something that they want and feel rewarded with. And so the lottery is a system where students get rewarded for keeping good behavior throughout the week. And so everything in the chest is something that they want and just rewards their good behavior, and that's the lottery part.
This lottery should be used when a student misbehaves after asking them to correct their behavior for a second time. So when you ask a student to follow a procedure, give them a command or any type of request, and the student doesn't do it, you would go up to the student and politely ask them to follow the direction that you gave. If they do not follow the direction for the second time, that's when you proceed with response cost lottery, and you politely ask them for their ticket. So for an example, if you had a student in your class and it was during a transition and you asked them to please take their seats and the student did not take their seat, you politely go up to them and tell them, what are you supposed to be doing right now? And if they don't proceed to go to their seat, then you would go up to them again and politely ask them for one of their tickets. I would then go place it on my desk, and it's important to note that students cannot get their tickets back once they've been taken away.
So now that we've figured out the procedure and what our response cost lottery is going to be, we need to collect data so that way we can evaluate later each student. So the students are going to see that plus side of getting the tickets and the ones that they get to keep put in the bucket. However, they're going to give us back the old ones, so we're not going to really sure what to do with them. So if you take them, they're already going to have their names on the back because they wrote them in the morning. So if you take those, just kind of throw them on the desk for later, safekeeping, and then later in the end of the day or whenever you have a break, go ahead and just mark in the report sheet that we've already created with everyone's name, how many tickets, that sort of thing. You can mark how many tickets they get each day or throughout the week. And then we'll be able to see which students are really showing a pattern of having an issue with getting their tickets taken away. And from that, let's just say for this saying, we're going to say every 2 times a month, we're going to check it and see how many times they get those tickets taken away. So that way we can either call the parents at home, see what we can do with them, what ways we can discuss. If not, maybe we'll have to call the principal in, see what he decides or she decides to do. And then if not, we may just have to completely change our approach, have a new activity that they're doing that, or a new loss that they're going to have, just because, let's say they get all their tickets taken away within the week and they have no more, and that's on Wednesday, and then they have none for Thursday and Friday, then it's not going to make sense for them to behave because there's nothing that can get taken away. So they really have no option but to be like, whatever, it doesn't matter. She can't do anything to me now. So we might have to switch it up and do something else, but that just depends on the severity of each student.
Okay guys, so we described the checklist you'd have on your teacher's desk, but you can also do other forms of data collection. I wouldn't say they're necessarily for the teacher. This is something you can do for those upper grades, so 4th, 5th, kind of for them to be more self-aware of their own behavior management, and then kind of keeping track of that and understanding why it's important, instead of us just taking away all those tickets and then they don't see those add up because the tickets just disappear. Our data sheet's sitting on our desk, they don't really see that. Another way you can do it is have a data sheet for the students. So this could be on top of their desk, it could be in their desk, just kind of depending on if you don't want the other students to see that, etc., etc. So their sheet could look something like a piece of paper. On the left, you'd have math, science, social studies, reading, small group, whatever you want to put on there for like the sections of your day, your schedule. You can put those on there, and then across I would have for the younger grades, you could do like smiley faces, so like smiley face, neutral face, frowny face. And then, they kind of mark off their general behavior and how they've been. For the upper grades, you could do numbers, so then they mark off like 1, 2, 3, depending on how many tickets they lost. That way they can kind of keep track, and I would do that per day. So I'd have that sitting on it for the day, mark them off, leave it for the next day, so they can see and remember. So like at the start of math, then you erase the math section. So they see it was 3, they remember throughout the lesson, and then as you go, you erase each section or have the students erase it. So that's just another way to do data collection, but more so for the kids. That way they can have that self-awareness aspect.
Through collecting this data, we can see which student this method is working for and which isn't. If we see a student that is written down very frequently, then that's when we should get together and sit with them and talk to their parents and maybe find a different program that can help them better their behavior. In CHAMPS, this is an example that they gave of the misbehavior recording sheet. According to CHAMPS, written by Randy Sprick, we are to keep this clipboard close by in order to keep track of the behavior of all the students. Each box represents the students' names and the desk and the date that they misbehaved. With this, we are to explain to the students that for the entire day, I will be recording them, and if they misbehave, they will be written down. And whenever we see a student doing a misbehavior, we need to speak to the student and be specific on what they did and why you are writing them down.
Now that we know what a response cost lottery is, here are the step-by-step procedures that we should use. So step 1 is we're going to hand out bundles of 10 every morning on Monday for the week. And then as soon as the student receives the tickets, they're going to put their name on the back of the ticket. This way it prevents them from getting stolen or getting confused on whose ticket is whose. Step 2 is when a student misbehaves for the first time, redirect them through surface management, and this includes ignoring, signaling, proximity control, or talk to them individually. Through ignoring, sometimes the situation isn't such big of a deal and they may just want attention at the time, and if you ignore them, the situation might go away. Through signaling, sometimes you just need the students might need a small reminder, and if you keep the signaling private, it will keep the flow of the class instruction. Proximity control, if the student feels that the teacher is getting closer to them, then they might stop the situation from happening and they might settle down. And lastly, if you talk to them individually and just find out what is going on with them or why they are acting such a way, then that might solve the problem and it will prevent it in the future. Step 3, if the student continues to misbehave, make sure to remove the ticket from them, and also be sure to tell them clearly why you took the ticket away from them. Because most of the times, if you take it away for no reason, they might think that you took it away for a reason that you didn't believe in the first place. Step 4, at the end of the week, have the students turn in all their tickets in the bucket. I also forgot to mention in step 3 that there's no way for them to receive the tickets back after they do an action, because that may just be telling the students that it is okay to do the action, and then later on they'll receive their ticket back. Then back to step 5, the teacher will draw 5 names on Friday afternoon, and those students will choose from the treasure chest. The reason the teacher will choose 5 students is because it's 1 for every day of the week. And also, if the teacher were just to choose 1 student at the end of Friday, it really wouldn't be that exciting to all the students because they would believe that they wouldn't have much of a chance to win. And then step 6, make sure to recycle your tickets and then start again on Monday. Just because it is something that you're going to implement every single week, the tickets are going to add up, and make sure you have an effective way to recycle them and continue it going.
With that said, be sure to teach the procedures of this during the first or the second week of school. Through teaching the procedure, the students will know what is expected of them in the classroom. For example, they will know which behaviors are unacceptable in the classroom and have their tickets removed, and they also will know what prizes they will receive and what actions they need to demonstrate or not do in order to receive those prizes. Through teaching them the expectations, you prevent students in the future from asking you what they did wrong or why a student got a prize and they did not. Through avoiding this in the future, you will keep the classroom flow and also establish a good relationship with your students in the future.
So we had two different references. The first one is from CHAMPS and the second one is from IRIS. What we got from CHAMPS was the response cost lottery definition and what it was. And we also got some examples from CHAMPS. And then
For IRIS, we took the surface management such as ignoring, signaling, proximity control, and talking to a student individually.